Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hook Turn podcast. This is our 30th episode with my very good friend Sanbib Ahmed, and the first episode of 2026. So, Sanbib, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year to you too. This year should be good in terms of new car releases. There are certainly, as we spoke about before, some mainstream cars that I'm very much looking forward to releasing and seeing the pricing of. And also just seeing, what other new cars, especially in terms of the Chinese competition, come to our shores.
Yeah, I think I think this year it's going to be interesting. Like, there's been so many new Chinese brands launching in 2025 and 2024. I fear there will be a little bit of rationalization. I think we might see some brands leave the market, whether they be Chinese or non Chinese, just because there's so much competition for in the Australian market, which is still relatively small compared to like larger European and US markets. We have a lot more manufacturers trying to sell cars here, so there's the competition is very, very fierce. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. There's a bunch of exciting new cars that we'll see on the road this year. I will still say that I'm most looking forward to the Neue Klasse BMW, so
Mhm.
the iX3 and the
Yeah.
i3. I've said that a few times in this podcast, but I genuinely think they are very impressive with what BMW has done. Anyway, that's not the focus of this episode. Today, we're going to be talking about three other topics. So, the first topic is Tesla sales for 2025. They've undergone another decline from 2024. So, let's see what we think are the reasons for that. Secondly, we did a little bit of investigating yesterday, actually, and we have some advice, some buyer's advice on how to know if the car that you're looking for used to be a police car. So that might be a consideration when you're looking to buy a second-hand car, whether that car was used as a cop car before and so on. And thirdly, now we've done several iterations of the car sales used car challenge where we go on car sales and we have a look at, we give ourselves a budget and a type of car and we try to decide what our favorite pick would be. This time we're going to limit it to new cars. So there's a website called Redbook, which in the Australian market has a listing of every brand new car on sale. So we're going to go through Redbook and figure out what new car we would buy if we had a hard limit of 25,000 Australian dollars. Okay, so let's get started on our first topic, which is Tesla sales for 2025. So the news is that the Tesla's global deliveries fell in 2025. So in 2024, they sold 1.79, or they delivered 1.79 million vehicles, and last year they only delivered 1.64 million vehicles. So that's a drop of around 8 to 9%. So that's quite a decline. And in the fourth quarter, so the last 3 months of the year, they only delivered 418,000 vehicles compared with 495,000 vehicles in Q4 2024. So that's a bit of a decline, and it falls quite a bit short of Elon Musk's lofty goals. I remember what was it? I think it was in 2021 or 2022. He had this very ambitious goal that Tesla would be selling almost would be the world's biggest car maker by 2030. It'd be selling almost 20 million vehicles and, annually by that period. So, Sam, what are your thoughts on this decline and why do you think it's happened and where do you see the future of Tesla sales going?
It was always going to be inevitable because the reason Tesla was so successful was because at the beginning, for many years, they effectively had no competition. And if you have no competition, then obviously, your sales will reflect that. Now that a lot of the legacy, not just the legacy car manufacturers, actually they're less of the problem. It's a lot of the new Chinese manufacturers that are the main issue for Tesla because they're able to offer very similar quality to Tesla for a significantly cheaper price. Now, where Tesla sales are actually still stronger than what they originally would be if the US didn't have so much protectionism against Chinese cars. Because if, unlike Europe and markets like Australia, the US allowed Chinese EVs to be sold in the US, they'd also get hit even harder. It's only because obviously Chinese EVs without significant tariffs are unable to be sold in the US that their market share in the US is even as strong as it is. So the reality is that nowadays, like 5 years ago, 20, not even 4 years ago, 2020, 2021. If you want an EV, there was only one option. There's Tesla. That's it, right? There's nothing else. It was basically nothing else. Every other option was significantly compromised. Nowadays, however, when you think of an EV, you're not automatically thinking Tesla. Your mind, a lot of people's minds are obviously going to BYD. Now, in Australia, the Tesla Model Y is still the highest selling EV by far. I think it's all over 20,000 units this year in 2025 compared to the BYD C Line 6, C Line 7, which sold about 10,000. So it's still significantly more popular. But the problem is that BYD has a lot of EVs that they sell, whereas with the Tesla, it's pretty much the Model Y and to a lesser extent the Model 3. So their range is significantly less. And yes, the Model Y and the Model 3 do cover a significant amount of the car market. You've got one SUV and one sedan. That is what most of the car market actually does want. But BYD offers much smaller cars, even bigger cars. I'm sure they'll offer in the future. So when you've got a wide range of cars that you offer, your chances of success are bigger. Obviously, yes, the Tesla do offer cars beyond the Model 3 and Model Y, but obviously not sold in Australia, even in the US, and they're basically barely sold. On top of that, even forgetting the Chinese brands, if you wanted a proper EV, you spend a bit more. You can get a BMW, Audi, Mercedes EV. Then other mainstream legacy manufacturers are catching up as well, especially the Koreans. Obviously, in terms of design, the cars like the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 are extremely competitive. So basically, um, Tesla has sort of been a bit more complacent than the other brands. They've sort of been like, okay, we've got these two cars that were released, quite a long time ago in the case of the Model 3, less so for the Model Y. Yes, they've got a refresh, but it's still fundamentally quite similar, whereas their competitors are quite quickly catching up and therefore obviously eating into Tesla's slaves.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. Like, there's just fundamentally a lot more competition now, so it's there's a lot more diversity in the market. Especially in Australia. Yes, Tesla is still leading, but there's so many more Chinese brands now. There's the European brands are the product of the European brands is becoming a lot more competitive as well. And I think the other factor that we haven't touched on so far is that Elon Musk himself is a controversial figure to say the least. And yes, of course, Tesla's product, pardon, still stands on its own. Like I think arguably both the Model 3 and the Model Y are still the benchmark in terms of, in their segments, respectively, for in terms of EV range, technological innovation, and so on. Like, yes, they're still sort of at the top of the list when it comes to how competitive they are with those two things. But not everybody, um, you know, wants to buy something that is associated with Elon Musk. Yeah, to say the least, he has some very controversial political views um and other views and different aspects of his personal lifestyle as well. And sure, some people will be like, that's you can also argue that there are a lot of other business leaders and companies that have questionable ethics and so on. But so you can make that argument for many other businesses. But I think given how high profile Elon Musk is and how much money he has, that's more of a factor with him, especially how much influence he has on things that are separate to his core sort of business interests, like his, political interests and so on. So I think that's definitely a factor, regardless of whether you sort of like it or not. Like, yes, a product is good, but people, don't necessarily want to buy something and potentially be seen by others as indirectly or directly, depending on their views, in endorsing the philosophy of Musk. So I think that's also something to consider there as well. I also want to talk a little bit about sort of Tesla's sort of business strategy. So I think they've also pivoted a little bit where, if you looked at their business strategy like 3 or 4 years ago, they're all about, okay, we want to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. And how are we going to do that? We want to sell as many electric vehicles as possible. And we're also going to support other car manufacturers sell electric vehicles. So that's why they did things like build this supercharger network and open this supercharger network to other EV manufacturers, because they had this almost like altruistic goal of how where selling more EVs is one way to accelerate this transition to sustainable energy around the world. I think now they've sort of pivoted a little bit to, they want to take advantage of this AI boom, and they've basically said, we're going to pivot to this AI and be an AI slash robotics company, and this focus on full self-driving in quote unquote, which is not really full self-driving, but it's more supervised full self-driving is kind of a part of that. But they've also doing things like, the silly, what is it, the Optimus robot that is,
Mm.
they've initially Elon Musk demonstrated by putting a human in a suit that looked like a robot. Um, and now they've claimed to be, iterating on that. I don't know to what extent that still a vaporware technology or is still a legitimate technology that can actually use to build cars, but they're trying to push AI in everything, and that's how they're trying to sort of call themselves as not so much a traditional OEM that sells, hundreds of thousands of cars every year, but more of an AI company that is going to push AI in various robotics sectors. So that's how they're trying to keep their market capitalization and up, and trying to keep their share price up as well. So we'll see what happens like to that. They're trying to make sure that that market cap is not dependent on vehicle sales when it should be, in my opinion, because that's the main driver of their revenue and their profit. So yeah. Sam, have any final thoughts on that?
I think unless if Tesla, you know, move into that they talked about it before, but that extremely cheap EV,
Hmm.
something less than $40,000 in Australian dollars. I forgot what the specific number was in US dollars, which
Yeah.
they've been hyping for a while. I suspect the sales will continue to decline because in this year, as I said at the beginning, the Chinese will come out with even more interesting looking EVs. So the Koreans will, even the Japanese, the
Mm.
facelifted BZ4X is a significant improvement.
Yeah.
And together with Toyota's obviously brand reputation, even those sorts of cars will start getting more popular. So, Tesla needs to do something and in terms of a new product that really is like people go wow, but it needs to be affordable. It can't be something that people go wow and then look at the price like okay, I can't buy this, so there's no point. So yeah, they'll need to do something. I don't know whether it's this year or 2028, but there definitely needs to be a product which is affordable and people go wow and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, look, let's move on to our second topic. So our second topic is looking at what you need to watch out for when you're buying a used car in terms of figuring out whether it used to be a cop car or a police car. So the context for this is Sanviv and I had a very interesting we caught up yesterday in person, and we made the on the spur decision to look at some cars at a was it a dealership, Sandvib, or more of an
It
auction?
was like a dealership, yeah, but like yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they also, I think they also put up some models for auction, but basically, I was just curious to have a look at the outgoing uh, or the recently superseded BMW 5 Series, which is the G30 LCI. That's the chassis code for all of the BMW nerds out there. So not the current model that's being sold, but the one, the predecessor to that one. And the interesting thing is, New South Wales Police and Victoria Police both use these cars as police vehicles. So if you see, if you're ever driving and you see highway patrol, which is often obviously on the highways, if you're going on a road trip, often they do the hidden speed checks, and if you're speeding, they'll try and chase you down. So on and so forth. But the car of choice that they use is actually the BMW 5 Series. So that got me thinking that hey, because there's so many BMW 5 Series models used by the police force, and because they've been driven so hard, maybe they're available at a good discount on the used car market. So we had a look on car sales, and true to that thinking, there are a lot of BMW 530Ds. So 530D is the 3-liter diesel engine model. Um, and there are a lot of examples on the second-hand market. So we decide to check a few out at a local dealership, not a BMW dealership, but just a used car dealership nearby in Sydney. So, Tanvir, what were your actually, what were your first initial thoughts on the car itself, the outgoing BMW 5 Series?
It so I think it's got the perfect blend of technology and still a physical button, still a large screen, still a full digital display, but still plenty of physical buttons to thing. Now, for me, I'm actually on car sales right now, looking
Yeah.
at the specific exact police car models that we talked about yesterday. Look, I'll be 100% honest. These prices are absolutely insane for what you're getting.
Yeah.
So the cheapest 2022 model,
Yeah.
5 Series 530D is $37,000. You're
Yeah.
getting a 3-year-old 5 Series
Yeah.
that's turbo diesel. So as we're going to talk about, that gives away that it's a police car. 131,000. I would say for that money, you are getting a lot of car. If you spend $1,000 more, 38,000, you're getting one that's only done 109,000. And then if you want to spend a tiny bit more than that, then you can spend about 42,888. That's done again a 2022 5 Series 530D that's done only 90,000 Ks. Like you are getting a lot of car for your money. Like that deal, especially $42,000 for BMW that's done 90,000 Ks. I would say, yes, obviously it's going to be an ex-police car,
Yeah.
but like I would say that is an insane amount of value you're getting.
Yeah.
So as we'll talk about, getting a police car has its pros and has its cons.
Yeah.
But for the money, you are getting a lot of car.
This,
You cannot question that. For
yeah.
38,000, for 43,000 dollars, you are getting a lot of car. Like when people look at that, no one's going to be like, you only paid $43,000 for that car.
Yeah. Like, I think brand new these cars would have been like at least $120,000,
Yeah,
right?
dude, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Now
Yeah.
43K, like I'm
Yeah.
almost like looking at this myself and be like, if I trade in my current car,
Yeah.
I'll only have to pay another 12,000. I'll be sitting in a BMW, which has all the fancy tech and looks absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
And not even like an entry level BMW. Like this is like a solid, like, this is like right
Yeah,
in the middle of
yeah,
the
exactly.
yeah. Yeah. So um so you're basically getting like it for a third of the new price, and this is only like a 3-year-old car. So it's you can see what impact depreciation um, has had and on these vehicles. Anyway, so back to the car itself. I agree with Sanvid. Like, I think the reason why we both like this generation of BMWs is yes, it has the digital instrument cluster. It has a big central infotainment screen, and it's running BMW OS 7.0. So that is not the latest generation of BMW iDrive, but it is. like a recent generation. So it has all the technology, but importantly, all of the important like media and air conditioning controls, they're still physical. So you can easily change things like the fan speed. Like I was playing around with the interior of one of them yesterday, and it's so easy. You just have to push a button, push a couple of buttons, and you can change the climate controls to your liking. Lots of space, very luxurious. Like, it's still a BMW, and just for context, so if you want to know whether the one you're getting is a police car, firstly, I think it's worth just asking the dealer directly.
Yeah.
Secondly, the police, I think both New South Wales and Victoria Police, they only bought the 530D. So if the car you're looking at is a 530D and they bought it in what was it, white, black,
White, yeah. Pretty
yeah.
much all the examples I'm looking at are white. Yep,
Well, yeah,
correct.
white. I think there were a few black ones and potentially a few very of those very dark blue ones as well. So if it's one of those three colors, it's likely to be a police car. And the other definitive thing that you can check to make sure that it is whether it's a police car is if you open the uh, rear doors and you see two sort of rivets at the top of the B pillar, that's sort of like a mounting point for their like the police lights and all of that. So if they have those two rivets, that means that it was a police car because I think they drilled the rack to hold the lights and everything
Yeah,
at the on the roof
yeah.
sort of with those rivets. So that's how you tell. But in terms of the interior, there's no like issue, there's no like holes or anything with where they left over, or there's nothing in the interior to really tell you that it is a ex-police car. Like there's no damage to the interior or anything. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's incredible value. And in terms of like the pros and other pros and cons, like the cons, yes, it's a police car. It's been driven very hard. It's racked up, or it's likely to be have been driven very hard. It's racked up, quite a lot of kilometers in a very short period of time. So, yes, the kilometers are high. 100,000 kilometers in three to
This
4
one's
years.
done 90,000, the one I'm looking at. So
Okay, yeah,
yeah, 90,000. Dude, I'm
yeah.
looking at this. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, Sam's
43,000.
gonna yeah, Sam's gonna buy one. That's his team up
What?
place.
How much was the one we looked at yesterday? It was about.
Yeah, I think it's like what, 40,
Was it more
37
than four?
was
Yeah, it
oh
was like
no, no,
47, 48, but it had
47.
done
Yeah,
similar mileage, I think.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as you can get over like any perceived stigma that it's a police car, there's been like, like dubious people in the back of this car and all of that. I mean, it's been cleaned and everything, obviously. So as long as you can get over that sort of stigma, it's not a bad choice, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, the good thing is that these cars have been over serviced. So because the police force wants to maintain them in, tip-top condition, because they've been driven so hard, that means the service record is exemplary. Like the, full BMW service history, very well maintained, all of that stuff. Sammy, did you have any other thoughts now, given your
I'm
newfound
like
interest?
really impressed, man. I'm like thinking, geez, these are not bad. Like
Yeah,
bang for buck. I am
yeah,
like, no one would think that you paid only $44,000
yeah,
for a 5 Series.
yeah,
Like, and some were even cheaper, the ones that are done over 100,000. But if you
yeah,
spend a bit more, like the example I'm looking at, the one
yeah,
that's 43, you're getting one that's done 90,000 Ks and in pretty good shape, in
yeah,
incredibly good looking car. I'm like, wow, that
yeah.
is a very good deal.
And it has like, just for comparison on the new market, I think that's like the price of like 43, 44. That's the price of an absolute base model Camry. So
Yeah, exactly.
for
And
the
you're
price
getting
of
a
the
freaking,
Camry.
and on top of
Yeah.
that, these things are quick. So
Yeah.
you're getting a really quick car.
Yep.
Let me
Very
have a
fuel
look at
efficient as well. Like it's
very
not,
fuel efficient
yeah,
and a
three
very quick
litre
car.
turbo.
So engine, yeah, 195 and 620. Oh, 5.7, 0 to
Yeah.
100.
Very quick. Yeah. Very quick,
Like
very efficient. All the
620
luxury
Newton meters
features.
of torque.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like,
insane. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's if you look at, and this is like, full very reputable, obviously like a proper luxury brand, and
Mm,
all the you get all of the luxury features, all of the um, uh, refinement and insulation and smoothness that you would expect from a luxury car because this is not a 3 series, this is like a 5 series, so it's like not even BMW's entry level model. This is like their proper, this is where their lineup gets serious to say the least in terms of uh, delivering proper luxury. So yeah, if I think if you can get over the stigma of buying an ex-police car, and as long as you're okay with buying a white one, then it's not a bad choice at all. A very good value for money. Yeah.
mm.
Okay. I think we've covered off what we want to on that topic. So let's move on to our final topic of the episode, which is not the car sales challenge, but the new car challenge for under $25,000. So we set ourselves a challenge of going on Redbook. So just for context, redbook.com.au is an excellent resource if you're ever researching a new car. And you want to see, okay, what is the official price of a car? What are the actual features and specifications it came out with? Um, and so on and so forth. Redbook is like an industry guide that provides a lot of those details, and you can even if you're looking at a used car, you can go back to like a 2010 model, 2008 model or so on, and you can see what exact features it came out with. And it's especially useful for some of those European cars because European cars typically have a lot of optional features. They have a lot of features that are bundled into option packs, and Redbook will tell you, okay, these were the option packs, and for each option pack, this is what was included. So, it might be like leather seats, might be nicer wheels, uh, auto dimming rear view mirrors, all of these like nice to have features that may not have been standard but may have been optional. And Redbook will tell you, okay, if this car had this option pack, this is how much the option pack actually cost, and this is what the inclusions were in those option packs. And car sales uses the Redbook data when they're looking at um, what features when they have that table of what features the car has and what its specifications were, etc. So Redbook is basically you're going to the almost like the primary source, not the primary source, but a very good centralized resource, so to speak. So, okay, with that introduction, we decided to take our pick of new cars under $25,000. So we set a hard limit of $25,000. Now this is before on-road costs, so we didn't include on-road costs. So in this, so this is $25,000 before on-road costs. And Sam, so would you like to share your pick and why you chose it?
Basically, for under 25,000 first, obviously in real life, you look at a used car, like it would be very silly. For a brand new car, I'd have to have a budget of at least 40. Even then, not really, but yes, anything under that, you'd be silly really to buy a brand new car unless if you're that desperate for the new car warranty because the value for money you're going to get by looking on the used car market is so much more than buying a brand new car. It just have to be for the warranty. And even then, if you buy from a dealer and if you buy a certified pre-owned, you often get a warranty anyway. So it's not like, you'd have to buy a brand new car to get a dealer warranty or a factory warranty. That being said, there are some options under the 25,000 mark. For me, I probably get the Suzuki Swift Hybrid Manual from a reasonably reputable brand. They did fix up some of the safety issues that it launched with, so now it's got a 3-star ANCAP rating, which it's probably equivalent to a 5-star from a few years ago. So it's still fine. Pretty good looking car in my opinion. It's a hybrid. Decent amount of tech. I will need to check on Suzuki's website exactly what it comes with, but broadly speaking, I'm pretty sure it comes with the basic sort of standard technology that you kind of need. And yeah, there's not much really more to say other than the fact that you're you've got all the basic technology that you need in the car. You've got the screen, etc. You probably won't have many luxury features beyond that,
Mm.
but you've got the screen, you've got air conditioning. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think, Sam, if the car that you've chosen, is it a manual or an automatic?
It's the manual, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's gonna be like if you're sort of like a new first driver or something, that driving a manual might take a little bit of getting used to. Not by all means it's possible, but that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, I'm looking, sorry, at the thing. The base model basically gives you everything you absolutely need. The
Yeah.
only thing it doesn't give you is blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. For that, you'll need to go to the Hybrid Plus. Otherwise, everything that you actually need in the car
Mm.
is is in the base model. Like the rest are just luxury features, which are like, for under 25K, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only actual feature you'd say that, okay, it's missing that would be in the higher thing is your blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. It's a bit of a shame that those are not in the base model, but other than that, your the base model Suzuki Swift pretty much is a perfect car into under 25K in my opinion.
As long as you can drive a manual.
As long as you can drive manual, that is true.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
with new manuals, from
Yeah.
what I understand, they're a lot. They're not like old manuals back in the day. They almost tell you when to change gears and stuff. It's not like driving a manual from like 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I think that's an interesting choice. If the audience listened to the previous episode of this podcast, you would have noticed that I unloaded a little bit on Suzuki because of the one-star safety rating that they gave their Fronx, which is their new small SUV. But yeah, it's not a. I suppose it's not a terrible choice, the Swift. Yeah, it's sort of like it does the job, gets you from A to B.
it's a hybrid.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, hybrid in this context is it's not a Toyota style hybrid. So what hybrid means here is like a 12-volt mild hybrid, which is the mildest of mild hybrids. That's how they can make it a manual. So yeah, I think that hybrid branding is extremely ambitious, if not misleading. But anyway, but yeah, the fuel economy will be reasonably good. Okay, so I might talk a little bit about my pick. Now I thought about this from a bias perspective. Under $25,000 for a brand new car, you have to compromise somewhere. So whether that's the actual driving experience, the features, the safety, or the technology of the car, you have to compromise somewhere, or the quality of the car. You have to compromise somewhere. You can't get all of those for such a low price brand new. So I was thinking about, um, okay, given these parameters, and what sort of compromise would I be willing to make, given my sort of driving? So a lot of my driving, yes, you have that romanticized ideal of you're driving on that beautiful twisty road, or you're going on that Great Ocean road trip. Uh, you're driving to the Grampians if you're in Victoria, you're driving up to the Blue Mountains if you're in Sydney, and you're going on all these epic road trips with these beautiful scenic roads, and these twisty roads that will give you lots of driving pleasure. But the reality, at least for me, is that 95% of the time I'm driving from home to the train station to catch a train to work, so into the city. So it's a lot of A to V driving, a lot of running errands, a lot of just doing using a car to complete my daily chores and daily tasks. So given that context, if I had to choose brand new car under $25,000, I think I would have to go with this Cherry Tiggo 4, which is Cherry Tiggo 4 Urban, which is the base model, which is actually 23,990 drive away. So that's significant, well under 25K drive away, which is frankly an absolutely insane price for what features you're getting. So you're getting Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you're getting all of the safety tech, so blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, high and low speed AEB, LED headlights, Um, there's you name it. I think it's digital radio, rear cross traffic alert, autonomous emergency, rear AEB, rear reversing camera, front and rear parking sensors, safe exit warning. So, you can see you can, it has rain sensing wipers even. You can read the full specifications, but the amount of features that they have is frankly absolutely insane. Like I can't believe it myself. In terms of the powertrain, it's not underpowered. It is a 1.5 liter four-cylinder engine, so 110 kilowatts of power, and I think I mean, how much torque is it producing? 210 newton meters of torque and 108 kilowatts of power. So not bad. A lot of cars in this segment will have like a gutless, naturally aspirated engine, including sort of Sandvip's pick, which has sort of no torque at all. Nine-speed automatic transmission, so you don't have to worry about driving a manual. It is a little bit thirsty at the fuel Bowser, but that's relative. And it has a five-star NCAP rating. So, and apparently, from what I've read, is that Chery with the MY26 models, they've tuned some of those active safety features to be a little bit less irritating. Like they are still irritating, but they're less irritating than when this car originally came out with. Now, the potential red flags are that Chery is still a bit of an unknown. Like they used to sell cars in 2010, 2011, and then they pulled out all of a sudden when they failed in the Australian market. And they've come back with more of with a second go. So, but we don't know whether, they're going to do the same thing again. It's too early to say whether they'll go here sell cars here for a few years and then they'll pull out because they're trying to. I think my concern with Cherry is that they're over expanding. Like they've introduced too many brands. They have JQ now. They have Omoda as a sub brand. They have Cherry itself, which is its own brand, and so they've introduced like within the space of 12 to 18 months, they've introduced three new marks, and all a little bit confusing whether they're being sold in Cherry dealerships or they're going to introduce JQ dealerships or Omoda dealerships. That is very, very confusing at the moment. So I'm a bit concerned with their after sales service. And yes, they have, I think, is it a 7-year warranty or 8-year warranty? Sort of, which is now the sort of like an industry beyond the industry standard, perhaps a little bit. Industry standard, you could say, is sort of 5 years at the moment. So, yeah, on paper, yeah, amazing feature set, and so on. But yeah, that's the compromise you have to take is the actual after sales service and the long term sort of reputability of the brand is still under a cloud. The actual driving experience again is, yeah, not very good. Like there's a lot of body roll. The handling is nothing to be, not nothing amazing. Very softly suspended car, which is good if you drive from A to B on our crap roads in Sydney and Melbourne. We have so many potholes and other issues with our roads that it's probably a good thing that the car has very soft suspension. But if you're taking it on for twisty roads on a road trip, yeah, not going to give you driving pleasure by any means. Sam, any thoughts on this choice?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's as popular as it is. There are people that I know that also own it. And so yeah, um, like I said, in this price range, you really should be looking at a used car.
Yeah.
But hopefully, yes, at least it's good to know that if you were looking for a new car, there are some decent options. Like there's the Hyundai Venue as well, which is
Yes.
another decent option. The Kia Picanto GT line, so you can get the top spec for under 25 as well. So there are the Mahindra XUV something
Yeah.
is also another. You've got
AX03.
options in this price range, not great options, and obviously the BYD Atto one, which we've spoken about, which is another. If you're literally just live in the city and you're commuting just here to here, it's also a pretty great option for
Yeah.
under 25,000.
Yeah. Actually, my initial pick was going to be the Hyundai Venue, and then I looked at the features and I was like, oh, halogen headlights, like that's come on in this day and age, like
Yeah,
that's yeah, no. And I think the interior, I think that just to be frank, the Cherry has a nicer interior than the base Hyundai venue. Like Hyundai is a more reputable brand, you can't deny that. But in terms of the actual sitting inside and the wow factor, I think you have to give the nod to the Cherry. Yeah. Okay. Look, I think we might leave it there for this week's episode of the Hook 10 podcast. But thank you very much for listening. We're wishing everybody a very happy new year and a very prosperous new year. Yeah, we're really excited to see what happens in the automotive world this year. There's a lot of exciting new cars that will be coming on sale. Everything from, yes, the Neue Klasse BMWs to the iX3 and the i3 to even the Honda Prelude, for example, which is a completely different type of car. But yeah, we're please like and subscribe we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all of the big podcasting platforms. And we'll see you very soon. Thank you.